In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a sequence in Adobe Premiere Pro. So without any further ado, let's get into the tutorial. So in Premiere Pro, there are two ways to create a sequence. First way is the simplest way. So for example, if you have already imported your clips into Premiere Pro, as I have here, what you can do is take your clip and drag it onto the timeline. Okay, so now it has created a sequence. So this sequence here has been created in this bin here, and I can rename it to whatever I want. So I'm just going to call it unboxing. This will match whatever clip that you put on the timeline. So if you are working with mixed clips in Premiere Pro, make sure that you put your primary resolution and frame rate that you want to work with on the timeline first. Okay, so if I go up here to sequence and sequence settings, okay, you can see this is the timeline that it has, or the sequence that is created for me as I drag that clip on. Frame rate is 1920 by 1080. That's a 16:9 aspect ratio. Square pixels, 25 frames per second timeline, 48 hertz, sample rate for audio, and that's all the settings that it's created for me. Okay. The other way to create a sequence setting would be a bit more manual than that. So what we do is you right click in the project panel, go to new sequence, okay? And then it will come up with a bunch of presets, okay? So you can choose whatever preset that is required for yourself. For me, I like to use the Airy preset just because that's the top camera in the business and I just like to use their sequence settings. And then you can choose whatever frame rate you want and your resolution. So for example, I record at 1080p at 25 frames, so I would select this, okay? And then where it says sequence name, you can then choose to call it what you want. So I'll call it unboxing 2 and press OK. And then here, if you look in the project bin, it's created a sequence, okay? So if I double click, it's already on the timeline. Now I can drag my clips onto the timeline and we have our sequence already set. So if you want to drag a different clip onto the timeline that doesn't match the sequence settings, what it will say is this doesn't match the sequence settings. Do you want to change it? So you can choose to say yes or no. So for example, here's a clip that I shot. It's shot at 30 frames per second and it's a slightly different resolution. So now it says this message here. It says clip does not match the sequence settings. Change sequence to match the clip settings. It's asking you a question. And I have clicked on always ask. So I could either choose to change the sequence settings to match this particular clip, or I can keep the existing settings. So obviously I'm happy with the sequence as it is. So I'm going to keep the existing settings. And as you can see, this particular clip, that was shot at a lower resolution. This was 720p. So if I want to match this up with the actual timeline sequence that I have here, I have to right click and then I can scale to frame size. And then now it's been upscaled to match the 1080. On a clip that's slightly smaller resolution, then you might get some pixelation or distortion in your image. If it's a 4K image, having it on your timeline in a 1080p timeline will look really crisp. Check out this video on how to create an Instagram video in Premiere Pro, and check out this video you might enjoy as well. Until next time, this has been Asten Regis helping you tell your story through video. Peace.